Hello, I'm Piper. Welcome back to the first journey. And as you can probably tell from the title, this is going to be an interesting episode. Something is changing this episode, and we'll get it out of the way quickly. At the end of last episode, we were asked what were our thoughts on being linked to the Stoke job. And at the time, I looked at Stoke and I thought I wasn't really excited by the prospect. I felt like a lot of the interesting players had left. And I was enjoying myself at York. I thought, we've got a good chance of getting promoted to League One. So I ended the episode firmly thinking I'm going to stay at York. I've then thought about it, and I've noticed that Tony Pulis is no longer a manager, but he wants to be a director of football. And then I had this idea of it would be kind of fun to, try and get the band back together at Stoke, get Pulis in, get like Shawcross in as a coach, Peter Crouch maybe, Rory Delap's already there, and try and kind of get Stoke back into being a stable Premier League club. And I thought that sounds really fun. And then I got more excited thinking about it, and I realised I was probably more excited about the Stoke idea than York. So I've decided I am going to move to Stoke. But before we do that, this is going to be a goodbye episode. So to begin with, we'll start off literally where we're leaving them. It is first place in League 2, 26 points out of 11 games, one loss. Obviously not comfortably top of the league. It's tough to be comfortably top of the league, only 11 games in, but there's a 4-point gap. Goal difference is decent. So, we scored the most goals by the looks of it. There's teams who've got better defensive records. Probably not helped by our 3-1 loss to Colchester, but all in all, we're in a healthy position to be, where we're leaving them ultimately. Looking at Team of the Year, Sims has joined Smith in there. Most of it, though, isn't, it's not us. We've only got 2 players on there. We are projected to come third, which it kind of seems to fluctuate between third and fourth. The season preview thing amuses me because it changes as the season goes on, which is, it's not a season preview, is it? If you're, it's like I can probably predict all 24 positions of the league if you allow me to predict it on the last day of the season. But yeah, what is sad is that we're leaving them as we're about to play Hartlepool, which is it's kind of sad. We're about to play our kind of rivals from last season. Frankie Bunn, their manager, is the father of one of our, well, not best players anymore, but Harry Bunn. He's a favourite of mine at York. Yeah, get my teams mixed up. So look at the stats quickly in the league, how well we're doing here. Goals wise, Liam Smith in 5th with 6 goals. So he's not too far off. It's how important of a play he's been for us so far. I'm hoping that whoever the new manager is, doesn't keeps the formation and allows Liam Smith to keep playing well. Young's down here as well. Anyone else? No, just Smith and Young. Average rating, anyone around here? Quinsar, surprisingly. I think we've not done too great defensively, so I'm quite surprised Quinsar's on here. I think it says something about how close our games have been, that of the top 20 players, only one of them is a York player. We have been somewhat inconsistent. Where else is there? Assists. Who's on here? Jake Young. He's been a great player for us this year. 5 goals, 3 assists. Player of the match. Ooh, Sam Pollock of hashtag Scott Pollock even. Hashtag United fame. Don't know why I said Sam. Clean sheet wise, we did kind of hamstring ourselves with this by not playing Baxter from the beginning. But 3 clean sheets in 8 appearances, not too bad. He's one of the highest, I think, in terms of conceded per 90. I can't sort it by that, never mind. But yeah, I think he's only... Never mind. Damn, these guys are doing really well. But yeah, that's all the stats. Don't think any of these are too important. I guess we didn't look at player of the match. Are we on here? Sims has got 2 and 4 starts. That's pretty good. Maybe I should play him more. maybe the new manager should play him more. Maybe I should have played him more, I suppose I should say. So what next then? Well, let's look at the actual history. We've had 2 first place finishes in a row. I don't know whether we would have come first in this league. I think as it went on, other teams would have probably taken over us and it would have been a lot harder. What is interesting to note is our final game I wonder if Stoke purposely didn't sign me until this game was done. It's against Port Vale. They wanted me to stay here just to beat Port Vale. This was a very interesting game. I'll put up at half time. I'll pop up the little screenshot. They had no shots at all. No shots, obviously not on target. They didn't have a shot on target until the 90th minute. And then, between the 90th and 93rd minute, they suddenly had 4 shots. They hit the post. They scored a goal. Goal was very disappointing. If I can click on it, I think it shows. But yeah, Baxter had a Baxter moment. Now this time, before I've looked at some of his mistakes and kind of been curious whether it was a mistake or just him being a good goalkeeper and getting close. But it was a really good cross, but that's kind of unforgivable. I think if he's going to come and get it, I think it'd been better off if just run out and kicked it rather than just doing a terrible dive. But yeah, so this game went from being incredibly comfortable for 90 minutes to me sweating in the final 4 minutes of the game, as all of a sudden they were hitting the post and all sorts of so they scored, they hit the post, they had another shot that was a decent save from Baxter, but yeah, if you look at the XG, just nothing for them, and then all of a sudden they were suddenly close to getting back in the game. But yeah, so yeah, the history of the club, final two first places and currently in first. Can't complain at that, can we? Let's look at the history. Landmarks. I'll have a look at this. So, I think it says I'm on here. So, our youth category got lowered. Feels bad. But we got promoted. Sam Newton left. A great moment for York. No offense, Sam Newton. I really didn't like him. Is he still a player? He's still playing. How's he doing? Terribly. I'm not shocked. And Gala appointed vice captain, National League champions, and promoted. You'd hope so. And then we won the FA Trophy. It's quite a short history, really. Feels like I've been playing this for quite a while. Let's look at the best 11. Here's our best 11 of all time. Bro, Duckworth, Agungbro, Matty Brown over Quinsall. That's a surprise. Cancelo on the left. Galliani on the right. Interesting. I'm not surprised about Hayabun. The midfield, the midfield is probably right. Up front, Young and Ross. I'm not sure. Ooh, really? Young and Ross? Just let's take a moment to appreciate Redshaw. 69 goals. Nice. In 89 games. And he's not even on the first team. We've instead gone for Russ's 13 goals in 30 games. Redshaw, you've been hard done by there. Insali was a good player for us the brief time he's been here. Damn, look at Gomez's record as well. 9 goals in 16 games. We've got a lot of really good strikers at our time here. I'm kind of surprised Cissé's on here, if I'm honest. I'm surprised he's played 34 games. I didn't think he'd played that much. And saying that, who else would be on here if not Cissé? Adebayo maybe. Don't know how many games he's played. And Watkins on the bench. I'm curious how it's going to go past next season maybe. Will Baxter overtake Brzezowski? I think Watkins deserves a place on here because he's got a few assists for us. The quality player that he was. Duckworth over Hughes, that's interesting. I guess Duckworth's 50. I didn't realise Duckworth had scored 15 goals, damn. Didn't realise he'd scored that many. Fair play to Duckworth. Agungo with the 4 goals, Quinsall with 2. Nice. Anyway, what else have we got? Records? I don't think we've really set any. The highest league position, they were in the Championship a long time ago. Don't think there's going to be anything too exciting to look at on this screen. Because, I don't think we've really set any records of all time. Oh, we have. Here's one. We've paid the highest transfer fee was 175k for Callum Jones, which I think is worth it. The club don't necessarily agree with me. Total transfer spending so we've 175 grand of our 180 grand on Callum Jones, and we spent 5 grand on, I don't know, but we did sell Jonathan Greening to Man United in 1998 for 1 million. Bit of history there. Paul Musselwhite, I remember him. Decent goalkeeper, a long time ago. Oldest, 43 years old when he last played for York. So what else can we look at while we're here? I think what I would like to talk about is, while obviously we have been very successful getting York out of the National League back into the league, I do feel like I haven't made a huge lasting impression on the club in some ways. Like, obviously being back in the league is great, but I think if we look at York, I'm only a favoured personnel, which I understand. I've only been here for 2 years, but I did win. I did win a trophy, technically 3 trophies. We haven't changed the facilities. That's probably part of the reason why I kind of want to leave, is that when I asked to upgrade some of this to the below average youth facilities, they told me no. And I'm kind of like, it's going to be hard to make a lasting legacy if we're not going to upgrade our kind of lacking facilities. And then the stadiums have only just been built, so I feel like it's going to be a long time before we can either get into it. Obviously 8.5 seat stadium's not great, and I feel like because it was only built, 2019, we only moved into it when the game started. I feel like it's going to be hard to. It's going to take a while, and we're going to have to make a lot of money. And the problem is, usually in these kind of saves, you'd make a lot of money by getting a good youth player in and selling him for a few million. But because our youth facilities aren't very good, I don't think that's going to happen. So that's the disappointing thing, I think, for me, is that we haven't really been able to, make the infrastructure better. We've just kind of put them in the league, and then we've kind of gone, good luck. Admittedly, I think they're going to do fine because they do have some very good players who are good at this level. Some players who are, hopefully gonna move on not move on to the wrong term, get better and help the club advance. Between Gomez, Russ, Sims, and Young, they've got a fantastic strike force. Some good young players as well. If we look at the average age, everyone's like 19, 20. She's 17-year-olds. Jake Taylor, 17 years old, and I'm starting him in the games. He's also really small. Didn't realize he was that small. Look at his weight compared to everyone else's. He is heavier than Callum Jones. Callum Jones is 4 inches taller and a kilogram lighter. Damn, he's a skinny boy. 10 strength though. That's not bad. Average strength for someone, not skinny. What's Jake Taylor's? 5 strength. That makes sense. It briefly, I know it's a disability. It's got down a bit. Disappointing. Hopefully that'll pick up. But yeah, we've got some older players. But of the older players, if you look, Bunn's not played much this season. He has been injured a bit, but he's not played much. And then everyone else, Duckworth is kind of like the backup player. Redshaw is an interesting one. Like in the sense of he shouldn't be a starter, but he probably is one of our best strikers in terms of his form. And he just keeps scoring goals. One start, 3 sub appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist. That's impressive. See, Matty Brown is not playing. Well, he's in the club, he isn't playing anymore. And Scott Barrow, I didn't even register him. I don't want him at the club anymore. Sounds kind of harsh. He did well in that one season he played, but he's just not good enough now. And I think he accepts it. He's like, okay, he accepts it, which I like. He's not kicking up a fuss. He's not one of those players who's, 1 star, absolutely garbage, demanding that he plays every game. But yeah, it's such a young club and they've got a good future. Hopefully, the new manager is smart enough, if he does get promoted, maybe if he doesn't get promoted, to purchase Nathan Baxter if Nathan Baxter keeps doing well, because he is. Chelsea do want to sell him. I think the asking price was 100 grand. So they can afford that next season, hopefully. If he does well, they decide to keep him. Let's have a look at hot prospect is Alfie Gilchrist, which is a surprise, to be fair. But yeah, hopefully he's no longer a championship player. Never mind. Hopefully that's wrong. Hopefully he does become a championship player and they can sell him for some money. Look at the development centre. Young players. Terry Lund, 4.5 star potential. Getting a lot better, actually. If we look at his progress, it's quite good. I didn't realise he was 2-star ability now. Maybe he's equally as good as Redshaw, apparently. He's not a striker though, is he? Advanced forward with 8 finishing. No, I don't think so. I remember now looking at all the young players we've signed, all the young players that have come through the youth team. The problem with them is they've all got like this. It's like a shotgun of stats. They aren't. He's not built for one position. Could he be a full snow because he can't even pass and his vision's not good and his work rate's terrible? I don't know what you are, Terry Lund, but I hope one day you find yourself. What could he be? Do we know what he can be? He could improve a lot in the future, you'd hope so. He's made some improvements, yeah. I mean, maybe he can be a League 1 or League 2 player. But I'd hope, for the sake of York, that by then they aren't in League 2 anymore. Hopefully they'll get promoted this year. Maybe in 4 or 5 years' time, they'll be in the Premiership too. We can dream, can't we? So yeah, not sure what else to look at, really. Oh, what we should do, silly me, we should have a look at the schedule. So obviously, where we left off after Cheltenham, I then decided afterwards to take the Stoke job, even though I said I wouldn't. First game against Stevenage, quite a comfortable 2-0 win. Sims and Smith with the goal. Smith proving he's such an important player for us, and he will be for whoever the new manager is. And Sims is joining in with the other strikers in just making it really hard for me to really pick and stick with a front two. They all seem to either chip in with a goal and then play poorly, and then I bring in another one, they score a goal and then play poorly. So it was his turn to score a goal today. So yeah, thank you for that, Sims. But yeah, quite a comfortable game, that one. Then we moved on to the Papa John's Trophy. This was an interesting game. Felt good to go 2-0 up, Felt like, okay, comfortable. We're going to, we've won this game easy peasy. They scored immediately after, scored again in the 77th minute, and it went to penalties, as it does in the illustrious Papa John's Trophy. I felt like we were doing quite well for the first half of the game, but then they came into it. As you can see, the XG, they took over. And stats-wise, by the looks of it, we were probably lucky to win overall. But it is what it is. We won. We get I think it's 2 points you get for drawing and winning on penalties in the Papa John's Trophy. That is another thing that's quite disappointing about leaving York is, I did think, it'd be nice to win every trophy in England on the way to, winning the Premier League, if that's what I end up doing in this series. Because obviously, there's nothing to say I will do that. And I'm never going to get a chance to win the Papa John's Trophy now if I just go straight to the Championship. So, disappointing, but I think I can live with myself. I won the FA Trophy, and that's far more important, of course. And finally, the Port Vale game. As I mentioned earlier, 2-1 victory, Jones and Smith scoring. Smith again, what an important player he is for us. Played really well. But I also noticed in the Papa John's Trophy, Harryburn got injured again. Him and Callan Jones seem to be taking it in turns and getting injured. It's quite disappointing, but he got injured. Adebayo got injured in this game in Port Vale. But yeah, Jones scored. That was his first goal for us ever, apparently. Well, in the league. I think he may have scored a goal for us previously in a cup game. But first league goal in 77 games. Well done to him. What I also want to point out, as I noticed in this game, we've got a stadium's capacity of 8,500, and, we seem to be doing quite a good job of filling it almost every game, 8,200. I'm surprised, actually. I presume Salford to be one of the highest games, but yeah, we almost filled it for that one. Sorry to those 8,400 fans who saw us get smashed. So yeah, this is part of the problem I think that they're going to have is they've advanced very quickly, but the infrastructure isn't keeping up. They will need a new stadium. So I don't know if they can expand it. I don't have the editor at all. I don't have it on, definitely. I obviously don't have it on, but I don't have it for 21, so I can't look at if it's possible for it to be expanded. Hopefully, for some reason, a Premier League club decides, that Terry Lund, we need a player who can't play anywhere, and they sign him for a couple of million so they can expand the stadium. What I did want to look at is finances. Part of the reason why the finances are in a good situation is because of the stadium. Obviously, having a stadium that we've almost sold out on, I think, for my entire time here, or at the very least, we were having a lot of people, we were having far more people come into our stadium than any other team in the national leagues. So that's why we've got a pretty healthy balance. Obviously, it will start to go down now a little bit and get slightly worse as the wage budget increases as we stay in the leagues, but hopefully they can expand the stadium, the money can come in. This is why you need the infrastructure. It's important because obviously for this level and the levels below it, gate receipts are where you get all your money from. That starts to change as you go up a little bit, but it's going to be important for them to get the gate receipts in to not see them lose a massive £2 million overall balance. So yeah, this has been my, I guess, goodbye to York. What I should probably do actually, let's have a look at some of the players. Who's our most valuable players? Canate's the most valuable. If they're not players I'd look at, who do I want to really say goodbye to? It's not going to be the most valuable players, is it? It's going to be the important players for me. So let's have a look at Jack Redshaw. As much as I've tried to get rid of you at times, you've been invaluable to me. It's a ridiculous amount of goals. He scored 69 in 89 games. Very important player. I'm kind of disappointed for him. So if we go back to York and we look at the general players, I'm kind of upset for him that he isn't the favoured personnel. I feel like he's been hard done by, not only by me at times, but also the fans that they've put Will Russ and Jake Young ahead of him. And I'm like, he scored 69 goals in 89 games. I don't appreciate him enough, but the fans definitely don't. So I feel sorry for him about that. Who else is quite important to us over the years? Obviously, Matty Brown, the captain. He's got me out of a lot of holes in terms of, sorting out the problems at the club at times. He's not good enough for this level, but he's been an important player for us at York. Anyone else? Dion McGee. Dion McGee. I love him. I'm going to be sad to see him go. I only wish that he was, I wish that he had the potential ability to play in the Championship because I'd buy him. I'd buy him at Stoke without a second thought. But he's only going to be a potential League One player. I think he's such a good player. He's been so important for me over my time at York. He's not played as much this season because he got that big injury, didn't he? That's why. Yeah. A big fracture in your arm will keep you out of games for 6 weeks. So I'd have liked to have played more this season, but God, it's destroyed his bravery. Feels bad, man. But yeah, he's been a very important player for me. The amount of free kicks he scored, corners he takes, such an important player. And I'm gonna miss. I think he might be the player who I miss the most. 14 goals in 77 games. Similar to that's ironic, isn't it? Jones and McGee playing the exact same amount of games. That's impressive. 10 assists, 8 assists. I'm going to miss him. I might miss him the most. He's the player that I think I'm going to miss the most. Callum Jones as well. Great player for me. He's not the most flashy player, but he's just that steady player. And when I've not had him in the team for the beginning of this season, I've noticed that my team's a lot less defensively sound. I think it's because he's missing. Quinn Sarr, maybe he is someone who I potentially could sign at Stoke, and saying that his potential is League One. He's the one player who I thought to myself, is he the guy that I want to come back and take from York? But it seems like we don't really have anyone who can potentially be a championship player. I don't know if that's because my scouts are terrible or my training's not good. My training facility's not good enough. I'm going to go over a more in-depth look at Stoke in the next video. I just wanted this one to focus on York, who I also want to say goodbye to. Jake Young. He's been a great player. Great player for us. More cheaper signing than Callum Jones, slightly. The board don't hate me for signing him. But he's been a great player. He's scored some very important goals. Like, he doesn't score as much as Jack Redshaw, but he's, in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if it says that he loves big games, because I feel like in every game where we've needed him to score, it's like in the cup final, he's scored the goals. Potential League 2 striker. I think he already is, in my opinion. Who else do I want to say? I like Cisse. I've not played him as much as I probably would have liked. I'm surprised he played 30 games for us. I think a lot of those are coming off the bench, but I think he can be a good, decent player in the future. Anyone else? Who else is important for me? I think that's a Gungbo again. He's one of those players whose stats aren't that great, but surprisingly does well. Also could be. I think if York get to League One, I expect York to get to League One because they've got quite a few players who are, I think, League One level or are going to be League One level. Watkins has already left. He was an important player for me. Bro, good goalkeeper. Expect to play the game against Hartlepool. Well, that's not going to be my problem. Good luck, new manager, for sorting that out between the goalkeepers. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think there's anyone else who I'm going to feel bad because I've missed someone out, aren't I? I guess this is the sad thing about only playing 2 seasons at York, is that there's not much history there. There is in a way, but I've not had time to make as big an effect as what I'd have liked to have done, which I think is my takeaway as I leave now and I accept the job at Stoke City. So yeah, thank you for watching this episode. Next episode, there will be a game as we go over what I'm going to do when I join Stoke.